Hey everybody, today I had on Amy Spurling. She's the CEO of Compt, which is a benefits platform that your employees will actually use. I have a variety of guests on, and sometimes I just want to make sure you know about the best tech that I have vetted, and I have met with their main executive to make sure they're not a psycho. And Amy very much is a fantastic follow on LinkedIn, and she is not a psycho. Should have led with that. But Amy is a former CFO, now CEO, who gets the struggle of making the ask for all kinds of tech. She posts very helpful content for you all over LinkedIn, getting you to think like how to say it differently, or she even talks about things like hybrid teams or getting the most out of your teams. And she's like talking about the whole workplace experience from the viewpoint of a C-suite person, but she is in your corner. She understands the HR persona so well. She had a post recently that said, stop making HR either be the cop or the cheerleader. Start treating them like the business partners that they are. She cares so much about you being successful and solving the need of like benefits. Employee benefits can be expensive. Well-being benefits that nobody uses is a huge waste. So this is an episode all about why she built Compt, and she built it to solve the needs she had for making this easier to do. We talk a little bit about how it functions. I think it's a huge opportunity for you to be positioned as a leader who knows their stuff when you can save your company money, but by also then giving employees something they're actually going to use. So everybody wins. So we get into it. Check out the show notes for some screenshots of the tool itself. And just enjoy hearing Amy be a smart executive who super duper cares about a day in the life of HR and making sure that you are equipped and so are your people so that you can drive engagement. Enjoy the episode. Follow Amy on LinkedIn, and away we go. Amy, you're really funny on LinkedIn. You're like smart and intelligent, same thing-ish, but like you're like witty about how you drive your point home. So who hurt you as a child?
I mean, plenty of people. No, my wife is convinced that I started a company to practice a stand-up routine. She's like, you just are paying people to laugh at your jokes. That's why you started a company. I'm like, that's not why, but you know,
I giggle when you're in my feed.
thank you. I appreciate that. I just think that most of LinkedIn either takes itself way too seriously, like the product people, or the product, like the company's pushing product. I'm like, all right, like at the end of the day, we're building software. Of course, I believe in what we're doing and the mission behind it and all of that. But are we saving babies? Nope. Like, let's be a little less precious about what we're building and a little bit more real and human because people they can go any number of places. And I think it's humanizing things a little bit at a time when things are going less human. Let's add more human in.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Compt in a second, but I think it's really good that you write your own social posts. As someone who came up through the path of product marketing and content marketing, do you know how many times I was asked by an executive to say, can you grow my LinkedIn audience for me? And it was for like data security or healthcare. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
I'm
gosh.
not the subject matter expert in the way that you are. Don't you want to be involved in this? And then, they'd be like, oh, I wouldn't say it this way. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not you. And I'm not driving like the vision the way you're supposed to be. So thank you for your service of just doing your own social posts. And that's why they're so good.
Well, I think a lot of it is the storytelling and making sure that there's an element of something relevant. And I would be lying if I said I didn't have help on that. It's not AI help, it's human help of just like teasing out the stories and things like that. So it is obviously all my stories, my voice, but yeah, I mean, I'd be lying. I would be taking way too much credit if I said that I was 100% responsible for all of this. That's not fair.
I think that's part of what you talk about too, is trusting your team and hiring the right people to support you and go faster.
Exactly.
So you were a CFO, now CEO, and you post a lot about why most HR tech like calculations can be wrong, uh, building benefits that finance actually wants to fund. That sounds nice. I think that's why your content's so good, is you're marrying the deep understanding you have of the pains of the daily life in HR with why executives often misunderstand what HR is there for. So what was it like for you to start to see the HR side of the story? That they're not a cop or a cheerleader. You've said that in one of your posts. Like, as you started to get clear, like, were you like, oh, I see the disconnect?
I came from a very different path to the CFO. So I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm very much well, I came up the finance route. And so, which tends to be a little bit more forward looking. And it dawned on me one day when I was like, 80% of our costs are our people. So maybe we pay attention to our people. Like maybe that makes a lot of sense instead of like, you can only cut so many expenses if you're not touching anything related to your team, and you're not going to grow to profitability doing that. And there's only so much revenue you can drive if you're not focused on your team and having the right people in the right place. And so for me, it was realizing just how critical, like if that is 80% of what we're spending our money on, it needs that level of attention and respect and, direction. And so really partnering with the HR folks that I've worked with over the years to be like, all right, let's talk through this. Like, let's figure out what you need. None of them ever had enough tools. Like it was the team that was the least resourced, and just, I spent a lot of time advocating, didn't always win that battle until I was CEO, and then I could do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But that changed the dynamic a bit, because I'm like, well, what do you think happens if HR is not able to do their day-to-day functions? Like, what do you think is going to happen here? And a lot of CEOs, I think, miss that because they are very much focused on external, which of course they should be, driving new markets, focusing on product engineering. But all of that still comes back to your people. All of that is driven by your people at the end of the day. And if you don't think of your team as such an important piece of that puzzle, you're going to end up missing the boat at some point. You're going to make a big fat mess. You can't scale if you don't focus on your people function.
Well, and that's like the perfect lead into talking a little bit about Compt, because I came from HR tech. I'm very passionate about making sure HR leaders have access to hear what tools are available to them and why. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Compt is, but I think that's why your messaging on your website is so good, is because it's written in a way that understands a day in the life of HR. The people are the best investment in the business scaling properly, growing, driving revenue, and affecting the bottom line. So your chef's kiss to your marketing and positioning. And I want to talk about, though, like what led you to create Compt? What is it for? And why are so many HR leaders using it?
I mean, pain and suffering is what led me to create it. I was like, I don't care if no one but me gets to use this thing. I need this thing, because I was like 5, 6 companies in, where I had been CFO or COO, and all I did was say no to employees all day, every day. I was that CFO where I'm like, sorry, you don't get nothing. No soup for you. I'm like, it was awful. And I was like, it's not that what they were asking for was unreasonable. It'd be like somebody asking if we could sponsor, like, whether it was a charity race or something like that. I'm like, the charity's great, but if I do that for you, then I got to do it for everybody, and nobody cares. And that's our entire budget on something that doesn't actually move the needle for the team. And so I tried to get a couple of engineers just randomly on the side to I'm like, it seems basic, build it. It seems like an obvious thing. They weren't getting it, because you have to understand HR and tax to be able to build the thing. It's very complicated, as it turns out, on the back end. And so finally I turned 40 and was like, seriously, like, what am I waiting for? I know how to build a company. Like, I know how to raise money. Let's go do this, even if it's just for me, for my next team. Because I was like, I can't scale a compensation strategy without this big component actually working for people. I need to be able to say yes. People have to be able to use their benefits. Otherwise, this whole cycle is just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so I was tired of saying no.
As an employee, I know I many times was given benefits throughout my career that, you don't remember what they were if you were even told them during onboarding. I think that's a problem. You got to really make it clear to employees what's available to them, and also make sure they use them. And in a time of crisis, you go to your HR leader, you're like, oh my God, I need therapy, or I need to take whatever it is. I've seen you talk about IVF on LinkedIn, so I want to talk about that. But like, benefits only benefit us when we know what the benefits are, so that when it's time to use them, we're like, oh yeah, I've even seen you talk about groceries on there. So can you tell us, like, what is Compt doing to make benefits better, cooler, more usable, and more, easier for employees to be like, oh yeah, I have access to this thing, I should use it?
I mean, part of it is getting HR out of this weird place they've been shoved of trying to figure out what people want. That's not a fair place for HR to be. How are they supposed to read the minds of every single person on the team, especially when you start getting into big teams, like thousands of people whose needs change on a daily basis? That is not a functional thing for an HR person to do, nor should it be. Nor should they be deciding what somebody should do for their mental health or for their nutrition. That's not their job. And so part of what has really resonated with all the HR leaders that we work with and then the employees is employees are in charge. They're grown-ups. They know what they want. Let companies set up programs that align with their values and say, hey, we want to support family or wellness or whatever the thing is. And then let employees go and do what they need to do. And giving a lot more freedom to employees to be able to make those decisions, so it's not a marketplace where they've got to choose between 100 things. Like, we all have credit card points and models. Nobody uses them. Nobody uses it. And you have to remember to go use it, and then you don't. And so it's making it to where HR doesn't need another communication plan. We've automated all of that. Like, there's a reason 94% of people on our platform used their benefits last year.
Oh
Like,
my God, Amy, that's
it's so high.
incredible.
Like, it's
I
so
mean,
high.
I can only think about the gym memberships reimbursements I didn't even know existed. Also, that
Right.
can be cheesy. It depends. Or it's like
Or you
30
don't use
bucks and
it.
you're
You're like,
like,
fine, I'll get it because they're going to pay for it, but I'm not going to use it. Maybe I'll use it once this year. So then the company's paying for a benefit you don't even care about. Who cares?
exactly. That's the thing too. It's like it's an invisible driver of engagement if you make little moments of an employee's day outside of work easier or paid for. Those are the things that might seem like nice to have to executives or even to an HR leader who's like, gym membership reimbursement, or like, I want to talk to you more about the groceries
Groceries is big right now.
concept. But like, if I could be like, oh my God, my company's amazing. I get this great gym membership, or I'm able to pay for this type of grocery or this type of benefit. This company is making it more accessible for me to be a human, and I give a lot of my time and energy, my most precious resources, to this company. Look at how they're investing in me. It's like a subconscious thought employees have. They may not be like, and now I'm engaged.
Right.
They don't think about engagement, but it's what causes employees to have a deep psychological, emotional connection to the company, which makes them not want to lose their job. And they like their
Exactly.
job because you're investing back in them.
Exactly.
So
Well,
there
and
was
it's
no
paying
question
for
there.
things that are important to them, you know? And so instead of making them think, oh, now I'm going to go get a new thing that maybe I wanted, maybe I didn't, I'm not thinking about that. It's them taking a look at their own lives, the things that are important to them, and then getting the company to support that. It's not making them change their buying behavior, it's just changing the way the company is supporting them. And that is so critical,
I love that.
which is where we see a lot of groceries right now. Food's expensive. If you got a whole bunch of kids, like I remember my brothers going through like 15 pounds of bananas a week when we were growing up. I have very big, very tall brothers. And like I like that. It's just wild. Like, and the number of eggs I can't even fathom. Like how many eggs my brothers would have been eating. Like they're like 6'4". Like
I mean, I got two kids. One likes, yes, I mean, kids eat. Oh my God. And
everything.
I have two kids. One likes purple grapes, one likes green grapes. Listen, I'm not one to coddle children. I'm both. I'll grab whatever's available, but I'm not one to coddle children. But my kids are a product of divorce. They've been through a lot. I quit corporate so I could be more present for them, so I could do this and be a better mom. In that way, I wasn't showing up. So I'm gonna get the kids purple grapes and green grapes, but they're like $10 each at the grocery store lately, and that's not even organic. So I'm like, these are expensive chemical filled food purchases I'm making. So are you saying there's a type of benefit available where employees could use, or at least allocate some money to pay for groceries?
I mean, we're seeing it depends on the company. A lot of companies are allowing people to submit for groceries under wellness. If you're not eating, you're not healthy. It's kind of obvious, right? I see it under family benefits as well. And so a lot of companies are allowing for that because they're like, this is what you need right now. This is the support you need. They also don't want to get into like people, food insecurity is a very real thing, regardless of income level, because your cost level could also be very high for a lot of people. And they didn't budget for how expensive things are. And again, like if you've got a whole bunch of kids, like that gets so expensive so fast. And this is a way for employees to be able to make those life choices for themselves and not have to go to HR and be like, hey, we're struggling to make ends meet right now. And they can just get the support. And so I see a lot of that happening.
So how does an HR leader, what's the experience like if they use Compt to give employees their benefits or make them more accessible? How do they get to choose what's available? What's that process like? How do you show them all the possibilities?
It's deliberately wide open. Employees are very smart humans. They're adults. And if you say, hey, you can use this for your wellness, it'll be a description where companies can say what their meaning of wellness is. For some, it's more narrow. They want it to be physical health. For some, it's wide open where it's like mental and financial and, all the different types of health. So they'll put that in the description, but then it's up to the employee to use it as they'd like. And so companies set the kind of the guardrails of this is the amount of money, this is the time period, this is roughly what aligns with our culture. But it's not a check the box of gym, yes, Pilates, no. Like we don't have any of
Love
that.
that.
I don't want any of that. Like do not force people down these very narrow paths because it may not work. Like gym memberships. I literally have a gym in my building. I'm paying condo fees and I don't use it. I refuse to go in there. But I love me a pair of walking shoes because I just want to be outside. Like, let me go outside. I need to run around like a little puppy. Like, so I don't need the gym. Like, I want something else.
Can someone use potentially their benefits to pay for walking shoes? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
What
The
are,
amount of money I spend at REI via our wellness stipend is a little over the top. Like, give me
I
some
love it.
backpacking gear. But that's what I do to go. It's good for my mental health. It's good for my physical health. That's like gear is where I spend my money most of the time.
What are some of the other out of like maybe more unique or things you wouldn't think of offering that is like Compt makes this super easy to offer something like this?
I mean, we've got one company that uses it for cryopreservation. Like,
Really?
yeah, like it's part of their business model. It's part of what they do as a company, and so their employees can pay for future cryopreservation. I'm like, that is, I
At
hadn't
first, I
seen that
thought you
before.
said crab preservation, and I was like,
Yeah,
well, I'm from Chicago, but I like fish. But then
yeah,
I
no,
quickly
no, no,
realized you
cryo.
mean
Yeah,
as
like,
in like some people think Walt Disney is
yeah,
cryogenically frozen. Got it.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's things
Amazing.
like that. There's things that are like some companies include pets as part of wellness. If you have a dog, you're more likely to go walk the dog. It could be good for your mental health to have a pet. And so some companies allow for that, and that's their choice if that's how they want to think about wellness. Some companies go very narrow and say, hey, we just want this to be for your physical health. We had one company that was like, no LASIK eye surgery. And I was like, I gave them kind of the head tilt side eye. I'm like, why? Confused. Like they need to see. They're like, no, we want this to be for wellness experiences. And I was like, it's a choice, not choice I would make, but it's a choice. Okay. Their team still uses it. They find ways that they want to use that to create those wellness experiences. So it works for them as a team. And so it just allows for flavor on the company side, but the personalization for employees.
Okay, so an HR leader can come in and have they can see the whole scope of what's available and they can choose to narrow it down if they want to. But do you have some companies who are like, just give them like whatever they need. We want them to have access to what you guys have partnered with.
Yeah. Well, and it's not partners. None of these are vendors that we have partnered with quite intentionally. On average, every person is using 3 unique vendors. Most of it's going into local communities, by the way. So it's the local nanny, it's the local grocer, it's the farmer's market. Like, so you see all this money that companies are investing is then supporting these communities. Like, we have a hospital group we work with in the Midwest, and their program is $10 million. That's $10 million going into their local city and community. That moves a needle for a town. And that's where I see where there's like, it's sure there's the Amazons and the Krogers and the whatever, but when it's going into local community mom and pop shops, that moves a needle in a really big way.
I love that. I want to get a good soundbite. We're going to leave me saying this in the episode. I'm going to lead you in, but I think my audience is going to get this. They're going to be like, this sounds amazing. I want a demo immediately. How does someone position this to an executive to, make a pivot or change the way benefits are currently being offered? Because more than anyone, executives can kind of be set in their ways, like, don't mess with it, it's fine. Why are we going backwards? How would you coach one of my listeners to ask for something like this or start the conversation?
I think part of it is knowing your numbers, which I think modern HR folks are fantastic at this. They know their numbers. Look at the engagement. You probably have programs in place, whether it is a gym reimbursement or, you've got some sort of benefit, a mental health benefit, an app, something like that. Look at what portion of your team is using it. You're likely spending a lot of money on things that have 5% utilization across. So you're spending the money, but nobody's using this. And you can't tell if it's the same 5% of people that are using it across every single thing. So then the question is, do you have trouble hiring? Do you have trouble retaining? Do you have a morale issue? What are you solving for? Because that's what executives care for. It's not just like, hey, let's do nice things for people because we think it's the right thing to do. It would be lovely if that was the way things worked. It's not. It's, what are you solving for? Are you solving for one of those problems? Then there's a more efficient way to do it. You can spend less money and have a lot better reach with your team and make everybody happier. That's a win across the board.
And a great HR leader will find a way to bring up revenue,
Yep,
bottom
absolutely.
line. You have to
Absolutely.
talk about money with an executive. They don't care about your hunch or, like you said, your nice to have thing. You have to tie it back to money, and it's easier than you think to just throw those buzzwords in there when you have the data. How much money are we spending on benefits that aren't being used?
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on when people listen to this, I know this might change. You're like, Christy, don't make me answer this, but is it cost per user? Like, how do you guys price it out right now?
So that's actually stayed pretty consistent for 7 years that we've been around. It's not cost per user. HR doesn't want to budget for that. Finance doesn't want to budget for that. So it's tiered based on the number of employees you have at the beginning of the contract, and then you just go and do your thing. We've had companies that have acquired companies during the course of the year. I don't care. I'm not looking for more revenue. We'll talk to you about your revenue. Like, just make it easy for people. Like,
Yes.
let's not make it hard. And if everybody's loving it, you're going to come back and you're going to renew. We have amazing customer retention. Like, there's like, what am I going to make? A couple extra bucks along the way? Who
Right.
cares? It's not
You
worth
have
it.
amazing customer retention and a credible amount of people actually using their benefits. It sounds like there's a huge
Exactly.
increase. Um, let's see, do you have a way to nudge employees for the chaos Muppets like me? I was
Yeah.
telling you before we started the show. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have people who think about things as they're falling asleep and then they just don't write it down.
11:59 on the last day. The number of people who submit at that time makes my heart go nuts. Like, I can't handle that. I'm a first day of the month kind of girl. Like, I don't want to procrastinate. I can't do that. But we have all those people. So we have figured it out. It's a science of how many kind of, notifications we give people so they're not spammed, but so they know they've got, like, when you get down to the end, 6 days left, last day, like, hey, it's on you, get your stuff in, and because the software is not going to let it, there's no grace period. HR doesn't have time for that. No matter what the grace period was, somebody's coming in 24 hours after asking for yet another extension. I'm like, let the software be the bad guy and just be like, nope, sorry, next time. Don't do it again.
Do you send employees email reminders?
Yep.
Do you integrate with Slack or Teams?
Yep.
Listen, you got to meet employees in the tools they're already in. We are not going
Absolutely.
to log into something else.
Oh God,
We
no.
need to be nudged where we already are, which is the
Absolutely.
messaging apps. So
Yep,
good
that's
for
exactly
you.
right. Yeah, I mean, the whole point is not to drive community and engagement in our platform. I know that does not sound like any other tech founder. Like, I am not trying to drive more time in my app. That's not actually a measure of that I want to increase. I
Yeah.
want this to just support people's lives and make it really easy for them.
Well, it sounds like it's working because people are using it and you have
Exactly.
great customer retention. What is the average, or I guess, like, is there a company size that's too big or too small? Like, where you're like, nah, you're not ready for this, or like, eh.
I mean, we've seen it depends on what they're spending. So on the small end, we've got customers that are like 5, 6 people. Honestly, for a lot of those folks, I was like, it's not pretty or fun, but you could do it for free on a spreadsheet. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm not trying to get money out of you just for the sake of getting money out of you. But some companies are like, look, I've got a big budget I'm going to spend on these folks. I just need to automate it. Fine, that can work. Like, in theory, our software shouldn't be more than 7 or 8% of your total program fee. If it is bigger than that, you should probably be spending the money on your team. So if you're not spending the money on, like, that's how we think about it. Your money should go to your people, not to the software to manage this. And so we should be a small portion of your overall program fee.
You're such a cool executive. Has anyone told you that lately? Like you get the pains and you're not trying to make a buck in the wrong ways. So again, thank you.
Like, I've been sold so much software and I am the buyer, like, and I have been for years, that I sell the way I want to buy. Like, let's have a real conversation. Like, I had this conversation yesterday actually with this group, and she had two people, and it was like, look, I'll show you the platform and whatever. You can do this for free. You don't need me. Here's how you do it. But then we started uncovering layers, and they have all these programs. I'm like, okay, well, now it makes sense because you've got actually like 10 programs you're trying to run. Now a platform makes sense. But if it was literally just the initial kind of conversation, I'm like, I'll show you how to do it for free. Like, let's just do that and start there, and then you can figure out what you want to do. And I think we are actually a good fit for them. But if I was just trying to jam a piece of software in that's way too expensive for just to manage two people, I'm like, you lose credibility. Like, that's not what somebody needs. So let's just have a real conversation.
Yeah. Is there any kind of integration or way to look at people's actual benefits? Because we're probably not talking about, you guys don't handle open enrollment.
Correct.
Um, so like to an earlier stage HR leader, you're not like, I don't want them to get confused. This is not how you would do open enrollment.
Correct.
But is there any kind of visibility in like, hey, I mean, Amy, forgive me, because I actually didn't come up in HR, so this might be a naive question, but like, there's no bleed over of people's actual benefits and how close you are to meeting your deductible. Like, that would be a different portal.
That's a different portal. And honestly, I don't even know if there's a portal that does that. Some of the Ben admin platforms may get close to that. But we don't touch health insurance quite intentionally. That changes state to state is so like, it's just, I mean, it's infuriating for me as a, my own HR leader. Like, yeah, that's like over
We're
there.
not
Like,
even going to
let's
go
do
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What does the future look like for you all? What are you looking to build? What's on the roadmap? Or maybe things are great just the way they are and you're just cooking with gas the way it is.
I mean, there's always room for improvement. I think one of the things that we're looking at, we've got a lot of different pieces of the puzzle. We've got whether it's lifestyle spending accounts, recognition. We just rolled out a professional development module, which is so manual within so many companies. They're all reimbursement based. It's just where that fits in the employee life cycle. I think that part of what we're rolling out right now is how you leverage AI in the right way on these things. AI is not replacing HR anytime soon. I think any company that does that is setting itself up for failure. But you need to figure out how to leverage that to help HR just go faster. So which pieces can be de-risked to where it's not touching the important stuff or the nuanced stuff? Cannot even fathom an HR bot that is going to tell you, like, there's so much nuance in every employee question. I don't trust bots to do that. But how do you do this to help get some of the manual stuff done faster? How do you
Yeah.
surface predictive analytics of like, hey, your employee bought this and did this activity and recognize this person is super engaged, or hey, they went quiet for the last 2 months. You may want to check in on them. Or maybe it's everybody in this team all of a sudden went and started having a different behavior pattern. Maybe check in on the manager and see what's going on there. Those
That's
types of things
fantastic.
and like alerts can help HR kind of, have a crystal ball.
Yeah, disengagement is such a silent killer of
Yes,
businesses, but
totally.
there are definitely warning signs. And it sounds like you are not just solving a problem of making sure companies offer benefits that employees actually use. You're thinking about it a level deeper, which is what I'm teaching my listeners, is there are plenty of signs and signals. They're quiet. You got to go look for them, or you got to use tools that are set up to kind of show you the analytics. But when you see a whole team or a person completely shift to doing nothing, that doesn't mean go fire them or that,
Right.
they're quiet quitting because they have an ego or like don't want to do their job. It's a coping mechanism. It's a trauma response to how the work is getting done in the bigger daily life. And it's just a nod to go check in on the employee experience over there. And it's quite often usually the manager.
It's quite frequently the manager in my experience. And so then you can figure out, all right, is it the manager, or is the manager also going through something? What does the manager need? Like, there's layers there that HR cannot be in the room with every single person all day, every day, obviously. They need the little like warning flashing signs to help them be able to have an indicator of where to go and look and
I
try and
love that.
sort that out. And so that's part of what you can see in some of this data.
So it sounds like you have a very usable dashboard view for the admin to see overall, and that's how you can tell a story to executives about why this was a good purchase because you can show improvement over time. Look, we really
Exactly.
are offering, or employees seem to be using more of this option we have for them to have benefits and benefits they'll actually use and make yourself look good. It's always good. You had a post about like making sure you talk about the great work you do. You were working at a big company and they were like, "What do you even do here?" And you're like, "I'm killing myself." And the only shift you made was giving more regular updates. HR's got to give updates, and this would be a cool way to send screenshots to the executive team. Hey, check this out. Look at this success that we're seeing.
And you can look at, like, if you look at people engaging with their wellness benefits, when it's personalized to what you want to do, it's not paying for things that you're like, fine, I'll pay for it because they're going to pay for it, but I may or may not use it. When it's things they actually use, then you can start looking at, like, okay, what's the rate of absenteeism? What's the rate of people taking, like, needing a lot of sick days and things like that? Like, how do we support and see where this is actually helping improve morale and just overall engagement?
I guess I'll just round this out by thanking you for including me on your list of top HR leaders earlier or later last year. I don't know if that was December. Like, what is
I've
time?
lost all
But
track of time. It's like it's been 5 years since the pandemic this week. Can you even like I sent my team home 5 years ago? It's wild. Like,
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of us will be spending the rest of our lives kind of recovering from how bizarre and weird that was
yeah.
and the time and weird stuff that happened and like the loss. I know my kids were in preschool and newborn. So the first time I ever walked them into an HEB, my son was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "Oh, these are people and
Sensory
this is fluorescent
overload.
lighting." Oh my God. But thank you for including me on that list and for, your clear understanding of who's giving meaningful content to help HR think differently. They are the foundation on which a company is even functional. And don't let anyone tell you or treat you in a way that makes you think you're anything less than the ultimate revenue driver with the qualitative gift of empathy. Like you're incredible. And your thought leadership, thank you for the witty, fun, intelligent ways you help all of us think differently about asking for software or how to run hybrid teams. Like your variety of content has sparked curiosity with me and like caught me in my feed in the mornings like, oh my God, Amy's so funny. And just your approach to like talking about the problems that we're all trying to solve for.
Thanks.
Just thanks for creating a cool tool that solves a real need and having fun with talking about it and being human.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do want a soundbite that says I'm funny just so that I can tag my wife in.
I
Like that's
got
what
you.
like I'm gonna tag her in and just be like, see, people do think I'm funny. She thinks that I'm not funny. But we've been together like 22 years, so
Well, I'm happy for you guys because the last person who didn't think I was funny, we got
mm,
divorced. But we
no, he
gave it
should have
the
understood.
he should have listen, it's
Yeah,
not that hard. Just laugh at my jokes sometimes. We
exactly.
we made it 10 years. It was a solid try before I was like, listen, I'm
Yeah.
hilarious and I need someone who's gonna echo that back to me. Amy, thank you for coming on the show. And I would really love to maybe include some screenshots of the tool that I could put in the show notes. Maybe afterward you could send those over. And if anyone wants a demo of Compt, you got a real CEO, Amy, who is like fighting for you to have the right tech to be incredible at your job because you are. And I'm not really giving you a chance to say anything here. So, Amy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Really appreciate you hosting me. Like I've been following you for years, and so I appreciate your voice in the HR community and how much you're such an advocate. And I think that's just so incredibly important at a time when HR is just taking a lot of punches.
Thank you. Back at you. We're doing God's work. It's important. All right. Thanks for coming on, Amy.